If you play a UIM, there's a high chance you were dropped on the head as a child. But fear not, as someone who's made that choice a few years ago, I have made a list of tips and tricks that could help you. A core part of UIM is to find weird ways to get around not having a bank. Some things might be more beginner friendly than others, and some might be obvious to some, but maybe not to all. So play along and see if you know all of these from before, or if I could maybe teach you something new. This first one is very simple. Just move your house closer to wherever you're doing the content. It just helps getting around easier. Remington has easy noding on the Leprechaun or unnoding on files. There's an easy travel to Ardy and Brimhaven from there as well. Hostidius is easy for farm runs, Relica for questing or bossing, the list goes on. Dying is a common UIM hobby. But did you know that you can use certain items to ghost store things? So certain items like Bolt Pouch, Seed Box, Tackle Box, and Master Scrollbook, they keep the content inside of them even if you wipe them. So I can fill my Bolt Pouch with all my rune bolts, wipe it, go to Kelagrim and get another one, and then my bolts are just there. On the wiki you will find a list of all of these items that this could work with. Just note that using the destroy option will not work for most of these, you have to actually wipe it through a death mechanic. Here's a little cool settings tips. In your settings there's an option for death protection for cosmetics. So your kitted armor will go into your pile instead of staying in your inventory. So now you can die happily. Did you know that even UIMs can use the Grand Exchange? Well, kinda. We can buy bonds. So here's a little sneaky tip. You can buy a bond, cancel it, and then not take the GP out. Then you can get your GP back at any bank when you need it. This could be very useful if you die in a dumb place and suddenly need some GP, or if you want to run to Mage Bank without risk to buy some early game law runes. Up the same street of just having a little bit of GP in every coffer can also help you out. You have the Nightmare Zone coffer, the LMS coffer, and you also have the Servant's Money Bag in your house. This one can store up to 3 mil cash. This one might go without saying, but just invest in your house a bit. Not only the Servant's Money Bag that I just mentioned, but the tool racks have basically most tools you will ever need. You also have shelves that have some useful things like Chef's Hat for the easy cooking guild access, or like teas for boosting construction. So this next one is a UIM secret. So please don't tell the 4 people that play UIM that I told you this. Okay? UIMs are always skulled. What this means is that no matter where we die, everything drops to the ground. Even in the wilderness, we cannot protect item. Meaning, a lot of UIMs will use the high-risk worlds. These worlds makes it so a normal account does not keep their 3 most valuable items. But, since UIMs don't keep those anyway, it does not make a difference. These worlds tend to have less players in the wilderness for easier access to resources and bosses. The Dude Where's My Stuff plugin is probably the number 1 UIM plugin. It shows you what you have stored and where, things like coins, stash units, even minigame points. The best part is the search function and the death pile timers. In the early game it can be hard to find a place to death bank if you need to. Hespori is locked behind the farming guild, but if you have access to Fossil Island, 50 mining and a little bit of Pneumolite, you can just death bank at Volcanic Mine. This can be especially useful if you want to get an early fighter torso from BA. UIMs are like tiny autistic squirrels. We like hiding our stuff around the game. Some are obvious, like using the stash units over the player-owned house. But did you know that in Aldarin, on top of the mill, there's a little bird's nest where you can store 1 item under the value of 100k? A tip there is storing annoying clue items like lava dragon bones or maybe the ancient stuff. Another obscure way of storing specifically a weapon is after the Perilous Moon's quest. When you're fighting the Blue Moon, there's the ice phase where it steals your weapon and you have to kick this big ice crystal to get it back. Well, if you just hop or log out after it's stolen your weapon, you end up outside without it, making it stored in there. You can always get it back either by going back into the boss room or talking to the lady by the loot chest. The tip here is to store an untradeable item, since those cannot go in the looting bag. I have, for example, the Karis Partisan of the Sun in there, or the Blade of Seldor. For early game, something like storing their Trine of the Sea could be a useful play. Now, onto death piles. For those unaware, UIMs do not have gravestones. All our shit just plops to the ground in a big pile known as death piles. When this happens, we have 1 hour to get back to it or it's just gone forever. So the first tip here, if a location needs an item to get back to it, for example, warrior tokens for the Warriors Guild, a key for the Shades of Morton Crypt, lantern for Tormented Demons, or even the grapple for Kriara, just know where to quickly get one if you were to die. And remember, if you panic, just log out and the death pile timer will stop. You have time to think of a plan before you waste your whole hour. Again, in the same topic, Dagannoth Kings is one of those places where you can choose to enter the Slayer Cave or the normal cave. Normal accounts would often choose the Slayer Cave when on task to easier just find an available spot. But a tip here is to not do that. If you die in the Dagannoth Cave, it can be really hard to get your stuff back when you're not wearing anything. And your friends might not even be able to join you without a Slayer task. This next one should be common knowledge, but I'll throw it in anyway. Please read up on how looting bags work. If I see another Twitter post of someone destroying their looting bag inside Ferox, this penguin will get it. Speaking of looting bags, there's multiple ways of getting one. Most people know looting bags get dropped by monsters in the wilderness, but you can also buy one with Slayer points or LMS points. I do prefer the LMS points myself, but if you're ever in a shit situation and quickly need a bag, just visit a Slayer Master and they will sort you out. Well, as long as you have points, that is. Item spawns are a vital part of UIM, and knowing where to easily pick up things will make your life a lot easier. The wiki got this great map function for seeing where everything of a certain item is located, but it's still nice to just know a few common ones at the top of your head. Some of my favorites are the gold bar in the Varrock West Bank, the single dose of Super Anti next to the observatory, and the lit candle in the sword shop in Varrock. Barlamore also got this neat little iron bar spawn, so you don't have to risk everything in the wildy for a simple iron bar early on. A bonus bit of information here is when forestry got introduced, they placed a bunch of these forester guys all over the place, and they gave us some nice free bronze axe with it too. So if you're ever in need of a quick axe, just go to the closest forester. For example, the one in Sears Village is very close to the teleport. If you don't mind doing forestry, the log basket is also a super neat early game item for only about 300 oak logs, 300 willow logs, and 5000 bark. Inventory space is always a hot topic, and often you gather things in steps, like for a quest or for construction. Steel bar is a common one that you suddenly need a few of. Well, did you know that if you go to a non-blast furnace world, put the ore on the belt, and then hop to a blast furnace world, you just scam the dwarves? Just grab your bars for free. If you make a batch, you can also just leave them in there for when you need a few in the future. Most UIMs will always have something equipped in most slots. This can be useful when you need to unnode a specific amount of something. Just in-equip your gear into your inventory before unnoding to get the exact amount you need. Or in my case, oh god help. Another inventory saving tip is that herbs go directly into an open herb sack if you're tight on space. And if you time it just right, you can put allotment produce right into the compost bin while harvesting without needing inventory space. Just look at this. Speaking of farming, did you know you can node saplings on tool leprechauns? Well, now you do. Like the video. A tip that I wish I knew when I started the UIM is to look up future stash units that are useful. For example, the Bandos Godsword stash units needs a Bandos Cloak from Medium Clues and the Bandos Plate Body from Heart Clues. So just don't throw those out if you were to get them early. It could take you hundreds of hours to get them back when you do need them. You could always, put it in the nest. If you've ever done a master clue, you might come across the penguin steps where you have to make a Clockwork penguin suit. This suit actually disappears if you die with it. But if you just wind it up and release it before you die, you can pick it back up after, as long as you're in the same area. A lot of minigames use a point system, which makes it so you can loot things later. So even if you're doing Wintertide, Temporos, Gardens of the Rift, you don't need to loot the stuff right away. Sometimes it could be handy to have a chance at something you need later on. Speaking of Temporos, did you know that if you get the fish barrel and you hate yourself, you can just go aerial fishing for way too many hours of carpal tunnel, then attach it to the fish shack and store it in your house and never use it again? That sounds really fun. Anyway, if you did not hate this video, consider liking, subscribing, and letting me know down below if you already knew all of these, or even if you have other cool tips for other people. Thank you, bye!